Okay, so who is Shelly James? That's a good question. So why don't you answer that for us, Shelley, and just tell us all you do.
Well, it was interesting today because Sara had said to me, "What is it that you do in the run of a week?" And today I had a snapshot of everything that I do in the run of a week or a month. All happened today in some way, shape, or another.
I know the feeling.
So it starts off at home, just like many of the rest of us. Sometimes we're not so lucky to be at home, but I started off at home doing home things, and before breakfast, phone rang, and I had to deal with a hail issue on the roof of some of our rental properties, and that started the day. So I did manage to have breakfast and carried on, and there were just so many things. I had a list I had to run to the accountants. I had to take the car in for hail damage, and as I was looking at the list of things that I had to do, first up on my agenda was to go to a barbecue for one of the schools that we sponsor with TLC at Home. So I got to do a TLC event today as well, and to see the kids, and it was amazing to watch them. They had done a writing thing where they were first-time publishers, and they were so excited, right down to the kindergartens up to the grade 8s, and they were going to be able to have a book to take home that they were one of the authors. When you came in, you may have noticed that there are some books by the front door, and I am an author, Amazon best-selling author, to be exact, and along with my husband. It's an anthology, and it's about what it takes to be successful. And so I invite you to help yourself to one of the books. Typically, they do sell for $20 a piece, but tonight, if you would like to take one, it's yours for the taking. If you would like to make a donation, all of the money that we make from the books goes to TLC at Home, which I'll talk about a little bit more later.
Absolutely. So you've touched on that, and that's a great gift for everybody. I got the book when it first came out and got a signed copy as well. And so you briefly touched on a few areas there. So TLC at Home, which we'd like you to explain in detail. You'd also do, and you're connected very well within property. You're a landlord. You flip properties. Like, this was something I never knew before I got to know you well. And you know, these people can turn a house around in 24 hours. Then they do that, and they don't use contractors. They go in and do it themselves, and quite something. And also, yourself and Laddie have 3 salons, 2 in Saskatoon, in the Centre Mall, Hairstyle Inn, and the Lawson, here's Laddie, the Lawson Mall. Somebody's colour must have took a bit longer. And also up in Prince Albert as well. And how many staff do you have in the salons?
About 45.
45 staff. And then obviously we have TLC at Home. So I know that Michelle Wildman was not familiar with this. I mean, you won, she'd sent an email, and I helped with the social media, so I knew that wasn't magic. And you had won the Community Builders Award, but also before this you'd won the Contessa Salon Community Salon of the Year Award, which is a national award in Canada for the work on TLC at Home. I've been involved with it with a trusted team since about 2012. We just recently did kind of a little website for you, helping with social media. It's one of my favorite non-profits. The days that we get involved, our team just loves it. We need to pack hankies. It's very emotional, but can you please just tell people what TLC at Home is, and also, you know, if they want to get involved, how they can get involved with TLC at Home?
TLC at Home is one of the things that I do, and back in 2006, our salon decided that, you know what, instead of giving each other a gift at Christmas time, why don't we do something with that money that would go where it's appreciated, and really appreciated, because what do you buy somebody for $20 that they want, right? And so back in 2006, $20 would actually pack a box. Well, even as a smart shopper, it doesn't quite do it anymore. But we decided that giving back to our community through our community schools, where children come to school without socks, they come to school without shoes sometimes, hats, mitts, toothbrush, toothpaste, is something that some of them don't even know how to use because they've never had one. And Christmas for many of them is not an enjoyable occasion. It's about, when am I going to eat next? And so we decided that in a small way, we wanted to let them know that someone cares beyond just saying so. And so TLC at Home, Touching Lives of Children, right here at home, was born. And that first year, we reached 3 classes at Princess Alexandra School. And since then, we've grown exponentially. We've had amazing partners come on. And you know, one of the things that I like to talk about is in our book is it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships. And the relationships that we had through our salon, we've done global hair for TV, for all their on-air people for years. So one day I went and I said to Lisa Ford, I said, Lisa, could I take you for lunch? Because I'd really like to share this.
And she knows you want something when you offer to do that.
And she said, you know what, why don't you just come to the station? And I said, okay. Can you come on this day? Sure, I said, whatever works for you, I'll be there. So I showed up, and she said, well, just head up to the boardroom. And I walked in, and the boardroom was packed. There was not an empty space at the very long board table and a few people sitting around behind. And as I looked, I realized it was representatives from Shaw, from Global, all their salespeople. And some of the salespeople knew other people. So Cameco was also represented because of a relationship. And I was able to share with them the passion that I had to reach children right here.
And it's been an amazing success. And how many kids received it? And so they get shoe boxes. And it started off with 3 classes, and then it became a full school. And the big kids were pretty surprised.
They sure were.
Because they don't get much normally.
Most
so the
people
little kids
give
get everything.
to the little ones and not so much the older kids. And the first year we did that was what it made me realize that, you know what, we have to do this always, because one of the girls said, you have something for me? She was about 14. And I said, of course. And she said, nobody ever does anything for us older kids. So we were able to expand to 5 schools and just under 1,000 kids for the last 4 years. And with the help of Global TV, Cameco, Cruise FM, and the work of trusted Saskatoon, Sara's always, getting us out there. And it's really been what's able to propel us forward to be able to reach that many children. And so many days I feel like it's just not enough.
Yeah. I know that we always go to a couple of schools, the team goes, and we hand out the boxes to the kids. And I think the one that struck me this year was there was 2 kids, and I'm not sure, I knew who one of them was, their brother and sister, and one of the community schools that we were at, and they didn't realize, but they weren't going home that night. They were going to be picked up by social workers, and they were going to be taken to somewhere outside the city. They weren't prepared at all. And that's the kind of environment that a lot of the children in these community schools are living in. And it's shocking, actually, to be in there. But I mean, the gratefulness on these kids with some of the things, and I take my kids now, and you've taken your daughter Chase for since she's been little, haven't you?
Yes, since she's been 2.
And some of the stuff in the shoe boxes is soap and socks and toothbrushes and toothpaste, and these kids are so happy to have their own new toothbrush. And my kids, it really grounded them, because, if they were given this shoe box, they'd be like, meh, meh, But they really saw how grateful these children were and how happy they were to get them, and it made a big impression on them.
This is one of the thank yous that we've actually two of the thank yous that we've received from the schools. And a little bit later, if you want to come up and read, you're more than welcome. Just to see the gratefulness of the kids for something that seems so small to us and yet is so huge. Like, they just hug the treasure. I mean, we put fun stuff in because they're kids and it's Christmas. But the toothpaste is something that just blows my mind how excited they get over it every year. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I do in the run of a day. And my missing piece today was made me smile, because as I was thinking about the investing that we do and the real estate stuff that we do and all of those things, one piece of my puzzle was missing, and that's what we do in our performing arts community. And we've done hair and wigs for Persephone Theatre for very many years, TCU and Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan. And this morning, I got a text from the university, a very good friend of mine. She said, "Here's me begging. I need 3 actors' haircut. Can you do it?" And that was my missing piece of all the things that I had set up for my day that touch every aspect of my life. That was the missing one. So it really made me smile to think, you know what? There it is.
Today was the day.
Today was the day that I got a snapshot of everything that I do.
Ridiculously busy. So for anyone that wants to find out more information about TLC, please grab Shell, look at the website, find out how you can get involved. There's many different ways that you can. You can be packing boxes, you can be providing items, you can maybe sponsor your family, a few kids yourselves, and all of the boxes are named. And they have the grades and everything. They're all individualized, for the child, for the age appropriate, their sex, etc. So definitely grab Shell afterwards and then go check it out for yourself as well. So yeah, you're a pretty busy lady. Again, because we've known each other quite a lot and I'm nosy, I was obviously interested in where people come from. And Shelley doesn't come originally from these parts. So Shelley, tell us about your upbringing, tell us about your family, and tell us about, how you grew up in your circumstances.
Well, people ask me where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from Canada. And they look at me kind of funny and they say, "But we're in Canada." And I say, "Well, yeah, I know, but I was born in Drumheller, Alberta, and I was raised in Canada. My parents worked with Canada's First Nations people, so I had the opportunity to experience different things, to understand what it's like to be a minority, to understand and see different culture right up close, and to appreciate exactly what people give from their culture, and to accept and appreciate that." And it was pretty awesome. I am one of 6 children. I have 4 brothers and 1 sister, and I'm about in the middle as you can get in 6. As the oldest daughter, I started very young to help with the housework. At 10, I would come home from school and start the fire, so my dad was very creative. We had a lot of what we had not because we had money, but because my dad was ingenious, and he would build a hot water tank out of a 5-gallon drum and some copper piping. And if you build a wood fire in it, you could have hot water. And so I would build that fire and wash the dishes from the day and make supper for our family. And that's...
At 10 years old.
At 10, yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter can make cheese toast.
Yeah.
She's an amazing girl, but cooking is not one of her things.
And also, Shell also tells me that she can fish with a tin can and a piece of string.
That's true. When you grow up and there's 6 kids and you live on a great big lake, we lived in northern Manitoba for 6 years of my life, and so a fishing rod was just not an option. Besides, it wasn't quite so handy, so we would use a pop can and tie our line and leader, and a red and white hook was all anybody ever used. And you could put the hook in the top of the can and stuff it in your back pocket, and it was really easy. And easy to use, because you'd take a length and you just spin it around and let it go, and it would feed off the end, and just wind it back. And pickerel and jack, I mean, we caught everything with just a pop can.
There you go. So you don't need any of these fancy things. My son thinks you're a genius and he wants to know the secret because he loves fishing.
I'll show him.
So what would you say has been the most defining period or point in your life up to this point?
Wow. I thought about that question, and up until a couple of days ago, I had a different thought than I did. Having won the Woman of Distinction for community building was such an honor and an incredible experience for me. Back when we won for our salon, they asked the question, how did it make you feel that you won this award? And I had no words. And I think that's because those of us who do charity work, things that we do to give back, we don't do it for the award. We don't do it for accolades. We do it because there's a need. And but after winning the Woman of Distinction Award, I thought about that. And I looked back and I went, wow, I did that. I had a lot of help, but I did that. And I thought, that's not what I expected that I would do in my life. I never thought that I would be where I am today. So the defining part of that for me is like, oh my gosh, if I did that and I wasn't expecting to do that, what else can I do going forward from here?
I'm going to use the line that I heard at the Melfit Chamber Awards. Volunteering is like wetting your pants in public. Everybody can see the wet stain, but only you feel the warmth. And I thought it was very telling. And it's true. You do it because of that feeling that you get back, and the commitment and the face on the kids. But and you know, the empathy that you have is clear, as I'm sure everyone can see in this room right now. Is you really have done a really good job of giving back. Been very effective at it too. So that's great. And I look forward to seeing what comes next, because I'm sure it's going to be something fantastic.
I hope so.
We touched briefly on the fact of Chase, that she's not very good at boiling an egg, but she's fantastic at many things. So Chatelle is a mum to Chase, wife to Laddie, who's at the back somewhere, feeling all proud, a business owner, a huge community supporter. You do it with grace. When I was looking at the Women Entrepreneurs video that we saw earlier for the branding, I think you epitomized that. You've got the creativity, clearly. You've got the grace, you've got the drive, you've got the empathy, all of these things. So as an entrepreneur myself, I know it's not that easy. You are literally struggling all the time just to keep up. And women, we have expectations put upon us as well that we try to challenge, but I think we actually enjoy. So what would you say is your biggest challenge that you face on a regular basis to get it done? What gets in the way?
There were a few things. One is interruptions, of course. There are many. The other day, I had my day planned out, what I was going to do, and I got a phone call from our Prince Albert salon saying, okay, this whole direct deposit thing sucks. None of us got our money. And it's kind of like, okay, I guess everything I had planned to do is getting shelved until I figure out what went wrong. And so by the end of the morning, it was resolved, and by the end of the day, almost all of them had their money. And it was a great accomplishment and a big learning curve for me on how some of these things work and don't work. So interruptions is a big thing. One of the other things that I thought about is that I think expectations get in the way. Are
those expectations of yourself or other people, or?
They're both. I have expectations of myself, and I have expectations for my day. Other people have expectations of me.
Because they don't know
day.
everything you do as well. You know, they might assume that you just do hair, you know, or you just do TLC. So, you know, so it's that too, because you're not somebody that really, you get to have to, well, this will be, people here now will know, it's going to be on TV and everyone's going to know. So no one's going to get in the way of you anymore. They're going to be like, whoa.
Oops, she's a redhead, watch out.
We've sorted that one.
Well, you know, it's one of the things that I have realized, that there's a big difference between intention and expectation. When you have expectations and they don't happen, there's disappointment. When you have intention and it doesn't go how you thought, it's like, well, that was my intention and it didn't work out, so what did I learn and how can I move forward? And it's just so much more positive than having expectations, whether it's of yourself or other people or things or anything. And so it was one of the things that I have decided to change somewhere along the way, and not to look at interruptions as a negative thing, but as an opportunity to learn something new.
Yes, very positive. I need to work on that myself as well.
That's what gets me through life.
What would you say, as you have a daughter, she's 13, 14 now? 13. She's 6
going on 24.
Yeah. What is the best life advice that you can pass on to your daughter, Chase?
Learning is so important. Never stop learning. Never give up. You can learn something from everything, even unexpected things, if you're open to learning. And then you don't make mistakes, you make discoveries. And relationships are so important. The first and most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. So be the best you can be. Don't try to be somebody else. Be the best you can be. Be the best you. And the relationship you have with others, because you know when you have good relationships with people, like the friendships that we got to build over the last few years, relationships are truly what makes you successful. Because if you have good relationships, when times are tough, because as we all know, that happens, good relationships, those people are there for you. And when times are good, those people are there to help you celebrate. And it's like, you know what? This is good. That's what relationships are, and building good ones. So being considerate of other people. We've always been taught about the golden rule, that treat others how you want to be treated. But that's not it. You treat others how they want to be treated. And you can't do that if you don't listen to them. Like actual active listening. Don't listen so that if they would hurry up and shut up, you can talk. Listen to what they're actually saying and what's important.
That's great advice, you think? Yeah. I was listening. So you are a little bit of an oracle of inspiration. That's kind of how I think of you. You know, it's come to you and all of a sudden you come in slumped and you walk out skipping. You read and listen, more so listen, because Laddie and Shell are always on the way somewhere, always going somewhere, whether it's Edmonton or whether it's going to, away with the team somewhere, and you don't take any downtime when it comes to learning and growing. So tell us what specifically you listen to and why learning is you crave it so much that you keep on going with that.
I think of learning equals growing. Growing equals being alive. That's fully alive, and that's where the passion comes in. And if you're not living life with passion, what the hell? So one of the things that we've been part of a group out of Edmonton for the last few years, and one of the things that we've learned is that you can't be successful as an entrepreneur if you're not spending time growing yourself. You can grow your business all you want, but if you don't grow you, then you don't have true success. And it's really hard when times are tough, if you haven't grown yourself, to be able to pick yourself up, or to be able to get through the tough stuff, and to be able to think beyond and outside the box and all those things. So I brought some props. These are some of the books, whether it's been an actual...
Have you seen how many books are there?
This is only this is like the tip of the iceberg. In my dream home, I've got a gigantic room just for a library. But one of the amazing things that we've got to do is that many of the books that I have read and that I've brought with me today, I've had the opportunity to spend time with these people. Kim Kiyosaki is the wife of Robert Kiyosaki. Most people know him as the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And Kim is an amazing woman in her own right. I was at a 3-day conference with her, and when I think back to those 3 days, I still get goosebumps because it was so amazing. And she wrote a book called It's Rising Time. And it's written specifically to women. It's like, stop expecting a man to look after you. Look after yourself, because the only person you can count on in life is you. And one of the things that really stuck with me from this book is what she calls the triple A triangle. And the first one is acquisition. So you're always like looking for information. And so, okay, got information. I read this book. It's really, really good. And that's awesome. So now what next? The third one is the one we all get stuck on, because it's application. The first one, yeah, we've acquired the knowledge, we've got the passion, we've got the idea, and we're moving forward. But we really get stuck on the application part.
And I think that holds everybody up, in life and business. We do training with Trusted, and we say to our clients, like, you can come to the training and we'll be great, and you'll get excited and you'll learn these new things. But if you don't apply the knowledge, then it's a waste of our time and it's a waste of your time.
So we start with that. But I guess, coming back to the third one, we have to aspire.
You have to want to learn.
You have to want to learn. So you want to learn, you acquire the information, you've learned it, but don't get stuck at applying
Sharpening
because
pencils.
it's a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, ooh. But I have a thing that I put on my wall right opposite the white throne in my bathroom. So every time I sit there, I get to look at it, and it says, stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start getting excited about what could go right. And that, to me, is sort of the epitome of this. It's like, okay, don't get stuck in the learning phase. Apply what you've learned and get moving.
Absolutely. And it might not work for you precisely, but you have to try it.
That's right. Because if you don't learn, you don't grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't grow, then you start dying, and life's too short for that.
So on a little bit of a lighter subject, you deal with lots of stars that come to town. Who's been a pleasure to deal with? And can you tell us who you would avoid? We want some juicy gossip here, please.
We've had many amazing opportunities right here in Saskatoon. One of the Debbie Travis was here, and we got to do her hair and makeup. She was so much fun. Arlene Dickinson is one of the women that I would love to meet and have a conversation with. She is amazing. And I would love to know how she's done what she's done.
Yeah, she's got a great book, and she worked for it. Oof.
She is amazing, and I would really love that opportunity. You know, there's a lot of incredible talent right here in Saskatoon because we've worked with theater, we've worked at TCU, where, you know, whether it's the ballet or many different productions that have come through.
And you just sponsored a recent show at the Persephone, which was lots of fun, which was the it was all
Sheer
set in a salon,
Madness.
Sheer Madness. If you went to see that, that was what a great concept and a great show.
It was a blast. And, you know, those actors, a lot of them are from here, some of them are not. And one of the things that I find interesting is that, you know, people say, oh, well, this one, you know, she's high maintenance or he's high maintenance. And the interesting thing for me is that because we do what we do, we're invited into their personal space. When you're doing hair for people, you're invited into their personal space, whether they know you or they don't. And it's never ceased to amaze me. First time somebody would come and sit in my chair, I've never seen them before, and they say, well, do whatever you think, I trust you.
Yeah, and look at her nails. Like, you know that scalp massage is going to be good.
Boy, I can braid super fast too. But you know, it's just one of those things. And so you get invited into their personal space, and when you build a relationship with somebody and you listen to them, you find out what their needs are. And if you meet their needs, you know, they're not that bad of a person after all. They're not high maintenance. They just have a few things that help them do what they do best. And when you're in the public eye and you're performing and you're doing all the things that they do, it's really hard if you don't get those few things that make it easier for you. And so we've found that really the people that everybody went, you know, we didn't have that problem. So it comes back to relationships.
And no juicy gossip.
And no juicy gossip.
The professional to the end. Okay, so that concludes the kind of serious questions, from me anyway. We're now going to open up to the audience, and then we're going to have a little bit of a fun round, which is really Shauna's fun round, but I'm just going to steal it after that. So first off, let's see if anybody has any questions for the amazing, wonderful Shelly James.
The growth for us is not to expand the salons. We have some amazing people who are able to and wanting to be a part of the business. And so I'm currently in the process of training them to do what I do. And so that we can move on to other things. Laddie and I have just started studying stocks and options and looking at that because it gives us the opportunity to do what we do from wherever we want to be in the world.
And what makes your salons unique? And I am an absolute staunch supporter of Hairstyle Inns because they're awesome, is that you have stylists that have been there for like 20, 25 years.
35.
And you've also helped some of your team members to not just own their own home, but also to own rental properties. You put your team into workshops. You don't just pay them and send them home. You are invested in them as people and their success. And for me, they adore you. Like, it's staggering, you know, how much you put in there. And as someone that's an employer, like, I look at the way that you treat your team and the level that you're invested in them, not just as employees, but as in people, is something to be applauded.
Thank you. Our manager in our Prince Albert location's been with us 35 years this May. And so I was chatting with her a little earlier, and I had said to her, so, you know, what do we do for you? I mean, we gave you a watch when you were with us for 10 years, and, you know, when you were with us for 30 years, we gave you a diamond. So what do we do for 35? And she goes, send me to Vegas. So she's going to Vegas. You know, in our industry, it's an anomaly because typically most people who go through for their stylist license work in the industry 3 to 5 years. That's not in a salon, but that's in the industry. And we like to treat our team as a team. We like to help them be the best person that they can be. And so whatever that is, I mean,
there's a great atmosphere within the team when you go into the salon.
It's all about
whichever one you go into. It's
about relationships.
Very warm, yes.
And building those relationships with them. And so whatever it is that they need, if you listen to them, and they have, I mean, one of our girls, she calls Laddie on a regular basis. It's like, okay, yeah, so I have this problem with my house, and or I'm having this problem with my rental, and what do I do? So it could be midnight, and it's like, okay, well, have you tried this? Have you done this? Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Click. But why not? Why not share what we've learned? Because Eleanor Roosevelt, who's one person that I think was the woman behind the man, she said, learn from the mistakes of others. We don't live long enough to learn them all ourselves. Yeah. And so we like to share what we've been able to learn with our people, and it enhances them.
Yeah, she had some great words of advice, Eleanor Roosevelt. Is there any more questions from the audience? Okay, in that case, let's go right to the speed round. Should be some music or something, Shauna, like do-do-do-do-do. Oh, so
I brought some, that. But unfortunately, I'm behind the times, and I needed to put it on a stick.
Yeah. So the 7 revelations of Shell. So this is a speed round, and yeah, just jump in, and we're going to try and get some more nuggets of information. So number 1, what is your guilty pleasure?
Shoes. What can I say? I love shoes.
Well, the higher the better.
Well, I didn't bring those ones tonight.
Where is your special place that you like to escape to?
In the arms of that man right back there.
Oh. They have such an amazing relationship, you guys, I tell you. Kim's like, ugh.
It's my safe place right
nice.
there.
Yeah. If you had to be someone else, who would you be and why?
I would be Oprah. And for the reason that Oprah's life didn't start out easy, but she has done amazing things. And not just amazing things for herself, but for the world. Yeah. So
yeah, she has. Yeah,
that is why.
Yeah. What is your signature drink / cocktail?
Red wine, preferably Moldovan wine, called Freedom Blend.
You also do a pretty darn good rum mojito.
Well, yes.
Just saying.
My mojito negro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Favorite song and why?
My favorite song is actually an album that I listen to regularly. It's Amy Skye, and her album called Life Lessons. There's 2 songs on there that...
They must be very long songs.
Well, there are more than 2 songs, but there are 2 songs in particular on there. And one of them is called Phenomenal Woman. And it's not because you're perfect in the eyes of the world. It's because you're you that makes you phenomenal. And that's the essence of the song. And the other one is called Do You Dance?
And you do.
And I do. But it is about life choices. And so I choose to dance.
Yeah, rather than sit down and wish you were dancing. What bugs you the most?
What bugs me the most are people who spend their time doing bad instead of good. I've been listening to stuff going on in London, and all the people that are stealing money from seniors and all this nasty stuff that's going on in the world. And it really bugs me, because what a different world it would be if they would just quit with that and do good stuff.
And put their energy absolutely into good things, yeah. And the last one, life tip takeaway from myself and your audience here today.
Keep learning. Keep learning, because it's what gives you passion for life. It's it keeps you going. It gives you opportunity, gives you fuel, and build good relationships. because really, that's what life is all about, is relationships. You know, with our team, our salon team, we took that building the relationships that we do with our team, with our clients, and we carried over to everything else that we do. That's what we wrote about in our book. And be a phenomenal woman. Don't just be ordinary. Be phenomenal. And choose to dance.
Thank you, Shelly James.